Namaskar and a very warm welcome to all our wonderful educators, curious learners, researchers, enthusiasts, and academic professionals joining us today from India and across the globe. I am Divya Mehra, your host and the moderator for today's session under the banner of Educational Connect with DM, a platform where we nurture knowledge sharing, fuel curiosity, and bring together passionate minds to spark educational transformation. Today's session is titled Decoding the Research Paper Structure, Style, and Submission. And it could not be more relevant. Whether you are a school student exploring your first project, or a college undergraduate dreaming of publication, or an educator mentoring young researchers, this conversation is for you. In a world driven by data, discovery, and documentation, the ability to write and structure a good research paper is not just a skill, it's a superpower. And who better to guide us through this journey than a highly respected academician, an award winning researcher, and an aspiring educator? It is with great pride and immense respect that I introduce you to our esteemed speaker for today, Dr. Sanjib Bhattacharya, an associate professor and a deputy director of UGC-MMTTC and physics from the University of North Bengal, Siliguri, West Bengal. Dr. Bhattacharya is not just a teacher, he's a mentor, a guide, and a lifelong learner whose academic journey speaks volumes. After completing his master's in physics from the University of North Bengal, he pursued and earned his PhD in science from the Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science and Jadavpur University, two of the India's premier research institutions. With a research portfolio that spans of most fascinating and cutting-edge fields, including condensed matter physics, dielectric spectroscopy, glass and glass nanocomposite, and composite materials, Dr. Bhattacharya has established himself as a thought leader in the field. He has served as a principal investigator for multiple research projects funded by the top agencies such as the Department of Science and Technology (DST) and the Council of Scientific and Industrial Research (CSIR). His contribution to science and education have earned him prestigious accolades like the INSA INSA Visiting Scientist Award and the Teacher Award from the Maulana Abdul Kalam Azad University of Technology. But what makes him truly remarkable is not just his scholarship, it's his ability to make complex ideas simple. His passion for mentorship and his dedication for fostering a culture of research and innovation among students and the educators alike. Today, Dr. Bhattacharya will take us on a journey through the A to Z of writing a research paper: how to structure it, how to maintain academic integrity and clarity of style, and most importantly, how to prepare it for submission of to reputable journals. Sir, we are truly honored and excited to learn from you. Thank you for joining us today.
Okay. Namaste. Very good afternoon to everyone present over here. It's really my privilege to share my views and thoughts among young researchers, students, various stakeholders. And I am also thankful, very much thankful to Dibba ma'am for inviting me for sharing my thoughts and views in front of galaxy of learned people, starting from young minds to highly educated people who
Sir,
are
it's truly
attending this program throughout the globe.
yeah, sir, it's truly our honor that
Thank you.
with such a learned experience, we are here with you to share that insights and discuss about how the research paper works in. It's really noteworthy to mention Sir himself has published 83 papers, research papers, and we are really looking forward to hear from your expertise, sir. The community is really looking forward to be enriched today. The virtual stage is all yours. So, Dr. Sanjib Bhattacharya ji.
Okay, thank you. So let's start my deliberation in front of number of stakeholders present over here. Here today, I am discussing on this topic, decoding the research paper. Now the question is, first question automatically comes the meaning of research. The meaning of research. So research, whenever you are trying to prepare a research paper, first of all you have to have the uh, um, learn the meaning of research. Research in common parlance refer to a search of knowledge. One can also define research as a scientific and systematic search for pertinent information on a specific topic. In fact, research is an art of scientific investigation. Dictionary definition of research is a careful investigation or inquiry, especially through search for new facts in any branch of knowledge. Some people may consider research as a movement from the known to unknown. It is actually a voyage of discovery. We all possess the virtual instinct of inquisitiveness. When the unknown confronts us more and more, our inquisitiveness makes us probe and attain understanding of the unknown. This inquisitiveness is the mother of all knowledge, and the methods which one employs for obtaining the knowledge of whatever the unknown can be termed as research. So, research is an academic activity, and as such, the term should be used in technical sense. According to the Clifford Woody, research comprises defining and redefining various problems, formulating the hypothesis or suggested solutions, collecting and organizing and evaluating various data set, making deductions and reaching conclusions, and last, carefully testing the conclusions to define whether they fit for formulating the actual hypothesis.
Really
So this
nicely
is the
said, sir.
meaning of research. So in it is mentioned over here, in short, asking smart questionnaires or questions as well as finding reliable answers. So this is the meaning of research. And research is irrespective of subject. Okay. It doesn't mean that research is always associated with physics, history, health, or technology. Irrespective of subject is a common parlance. It can be applied to any subject or any discipline. So that's the meaning of research.
Really nicely quoted, sir. It's really important, especially the students who are watching. Most of the common concerns that the children usually have is that what exactly is research, and they are not being guided well, because of which in universities we never not get to know that what exactly is the procedure to it, and that is why the session is really important today for us
Right,
to
right.
guide through the steps, and we really look forward to hear from you, sir. So, sir, yeah, as you mentioned about research from known to unknown, so can you just guide us through that? As you were said that research is about asking smart questions and finding reliable answers to it. How important is research in the academics and beyond, of course? So what is the purpose of this research that we usually are being taking into consideration?
Actually, research came from the inquisitiveness of young mind. Okay, to solve a problem, many people may have some inquisitiveness or some innovative idea. They can apply them to solve a problem. Uh, as for example, it is mentioned in the screen, uh, general theory of relativity. It came to solve a particular problem. Evaluation. It solved a particular problem. Radioactivity, the property of some elements, radioactive elements, gravity. Whenever a stone is falling down, not moving up due to gravity. What Sir Isaac Newton justified with the help of his Newtonian mechanics or theory of gravitation. To discuss any natural phenomena by means of some some scientific footings or some logical understanding, it can be discussed. So this is the main importance of research in academic and beyond. So this indicates that to actually I have already mentioned that it is academic activity, and as such the term should be used in technical sense. And academic activity means to solve a problem, research can be utilized. So through each research study, one may have their own specific purpose to mention some general objectives, as for example to gain the familiarity with the phenomena or to achieve new insights into students in this subject in view are termed as exploratory or formative research studies. Similarly, to portray accurately the characteristics of a particular individual situation or a group studies with the object in view are known as the descriptive research studies. Similarly, to determine the frequency with which something occurs or with which it is associated with something else, studies with the objective in view are known as the diagnostic research studies. To test some hypothesis of a casual uh, causal relationship between which various variables such studies are also known as hypothesis testing research studies. So for such reasons the research really matters to solve a problems.
Really, really nicely quoted here, sir. So as you mentioned about the research matters, we can see a very beautiful depiction on the screen as well. Uh, Researchers have always helped in terms of identifying a problem and bringing out a solution to it.
Right.
So when we talk about logical understanding, what exactly do we call a person as a researcher? Like who exactly is a researcher in the context when we talk about research matter or a person being doing research? Who exactly is a researcher here?
Okay. This is very important question regarding logical understanding. Suppose you have given a hypothesis. Hypothesis means, as for example, Avogadro's hypothesis. I think all the people are well known to Avogadro's hypothesis. It is hypothesis because of the fact at that time there was no experimental verification. But after few years, some group of researchers verified them experimentally. Then this hypothesis will become a research paper or some fact finding matters. So that's why logical understanding is important. What do you think researcher looks like, a scientist or professor? And searching the best options, watching reviews and matching various facts and figures. So whenever the observation can be verified by means of experimental tools, then the research process is completed. So this is referred to the logical understanding. You may consider a hypothesis, but there should be experimental verification or some sort of computational method. You can apply some computational method to solve this particular problem. And whenever experiment supports this observation, hypothetical observation, then that should be the complete process of a research, and that belongs to the logical understanding.
Okay. So fact finding matters as you mentioned here, and we always generally correlate that researchers are only by the people who are in the highest professions. So basically, can students also be developing up a research? That's the most important question because it has always been considered that only the professors and the people in the learned community at the highest positions are the one who have been involved in the research.
No, definitely, you have pointed out very pertinent question. Students are the main stakeholders of our society. They are the young minds. They should start their research okay, from the school level, in terms of doing some project work under one supervisor, or doing some collaborative program between two or three institutions. So students are the young minds, they should start research. So teachers should give one problem, one or two problems to each and every student, as well as a group, to resolve this problem. So student can solve this problem by means of some numerical programming, computational programming, okay, or some literature survey, or some doing some logical understanding, some hypothesis. They can provide some hypothesis, don't worry, and some formulation on some theory they can provide based on this problem. So for this purpose, they should learn from the various open sources literature. Various literatures are available in the internet. 2.0, various open sources are there, so student can learn something from the open sources to solve this particular problem, and one or two teachers should guide them to resolve this problem. So this practice should be started from the school level. Otherwise, it is very difficult to develop a good researcher. So, in a school level, uh, giving problems, that should be the standard practice, and discussion with the students to solve this problem. So, just ask some questions regarding that problem, and uh, try to understand their deliberation, what they actually understand, and what's the gap, research gap, okay, between. Actually, students are the young minds, they are very young, that's why they may not have sufficient knowledge. Though it is, we are the mentors, teachers are the mentors right now, they are not the teacher, they are the mentors. They should provide the right track towards the student community, so that in near future we can develop a very good researchers from the student community.
Very nice, sir. So I think so. The researchers, the beginning of becoming a researcher begins at school, and yes, of course, as it has always been perceived that a researcher is just a scientist or a professor, somebody in the learned position. It is specifically from the school level itself. The children should be start to be taught a simple thing like solving up a problem and bringing out a solution to it, and that is where the research begins. This is very
Right.
beautifully quoted by you, sir, and I think this is something to take away from today's session for sure, because many children believe that it is only that we reach up a position that we'll be able to do a research. No, I think it can begin at a very school level, and yes, it's a curiosity within you which can help you generate a solution to a problem.
Right, right.
So as we go beyond talking about who researchers are, so what is your suggestion that what are the different type of researches that the student should know about? As we're discussing the research at the school level, so what is your input that the students can follow and do the research in these respective fields?
Okay, okay. So, in the definition, I have already mentioned the meaning of research, but research may have different categories. Different categories. Some part of research may be associated with the fundamental or basic research. Okay, as for example, uh, calculation or estimation of electronic mass, electronic mass, or charge of electron, or any kind of charge particle within the material, or to know the reason for gravity. So these are supposed to be the fundamental or basic research. But with the help of some existing problems, we can apply them to develop a new device. Suppose, as for example, we can develop that one dimensional uh, quantum nanoparticle. Okay, quantum dot, zero dimensional quantum dot, or some transistor that is using some single one electron or two electron single electron transistor, or some really innovative devices with the help of existing fundamental or basic research. That type of research is said to be applied research. Okay, so you have to learn first about the various types of research methods. It is mentioned in the screen. So, descriptive research, analytical research, applied research, fundamental, quantitative, qualitative, conceptual, and empirical. So let's have a look one by one. Descriptive research, what does it mean by descriptive research? Some description may be associated over there from literature survey, and from the description, you will try to reach the conclusion from the discussion or descriptive part. So this is to some extent qualitative research associated with qualitative research. Qualitative research means just to observe something and you may give some conclusion. That is called qualitative research. There is no mathematical formulation, no quantity or data may not be associated with this qualitative research. Just reading the storybook, you can highlight something. Similarly, so descriptive research and qualitative research are to some extent interconnected. Analytical research, applied research, and quantitative research are to some extent interconnected. Analytical research means you should have some critical thinking. From the basis of your critical thinking, you may do some research work that is said to be analytical research. So, analytical research is also related to quantitative research. Some data interpretation or numerical analysis should be associated with, and this may be associated with applied research as well as fundamental research. And empirical research, what is empirical research? Empirical research means you may, based on your observation, you may provide a empirical law. As for example, Avogadro's hypothesis. Avogadro provided an empirical law. Okay, based on this hypothesis, we can conclude something. So there is no experimental verification. Some researcher may do the experimental verification or not, may not. But empirical, you may provide formula, hypothetical formula, power law model. Suppose a particle, electron, movement of electron in a metal, as per your understanding, may not be linear, maybe three-dimensional or four-dimensional motion, okay, or n-dimensional motion. You may provide that the formula that x equals to a y to the power n is a dimension, okay. So this is supposed to be the empirical research, and some researchers or latter you and your research group may verify it experimentally or may not be verified. But empirical research may have a powerful indicate a powerful tool to provide research work. And the next one, I will focus on the two parts mainly, qualitative and quantitative research. So as a whole, all the research methods I have mentioned over here, methods is the broad canopy. So broad canopy means various types of research methods are here. Maybe descriptive, maybe analytical, maybe applied, maybe qualitative, quantitative, and many more. So in broad sense, this is supposed to be research methods. So you have to learn research methods before commencement of your research work. So within this research method, we will try to highlight on these two issues, that is qualitative and quantitative research. So let's have a look on the quantitative and qualitative research. So I have already mentioned qualitative means just to observe something, to observe something. Okay, the right side picture indicates the meaning of this pictorial view indicates the meaning of qualitative research. Use some words, some feelings, some stories to understand people's experience. This is qualitative research. There is no experimental verification, no numerical data, no nothing. On the other hand, what is quantitative research? Some data, some numerical values should be associated with that quantitative research. Uses numbers, data, statistics to answer the questions. So, data detective research is supposed to be the quantitative research. Some quantity should be associated with. Okay, it increases up to what value of that particular data. But in case of qualitative research, there is no numerical formulation or something like that. Just to observe, just to understand people's experience, you may provide some conclusion. So this is the basic difference between this qualitative and quantitative research methodologies. But nowadays, The most important is the mixture of these two, qualitative mixed methodology, having qualitative as well as quantitative. Some qualitative idea may be collected and quantitatively it can be verified. Okay, so mixed mode research, that is the qualitative plus quantitative. This is nowadays this is much more attractive towards the research community rather individual one. So mixed mode research is the most important mode of research methods. So dear students and researchers and all kind of stakeholders who are attending this program in the virtual mode, they should remember one thing: the mixed mode research. So gain something from the discussion of others as per your understanding, and try to try to make them quantified, okay, with the help of some numerical programmings or with the help of some experimental research, and try to give your conclusion at last. So this is supposed to be the best research, that is the mixed mode, qualitative as well as quantitative.
Beautifully portrayed, sir. This is really nice, and the depiction is really easy to understand. Also, one of the most common researches that we follow is the qualitative and the quantitative methods. And mostly, children are not being clear of this concept. Even high school students also, and even college
Right, right.
graduates also, that what exactly is the difference? Because research means a very broad term. It's an umbrella term, and of course, what are the parameters within it, and what are the different type of researches? It's very important for us to know.
Okay.
So how do we decide on to the quantitative and the qualitative aspect? Like how do I get to know that I need to do a research on the qualitative and the quantitative aspect? Could you please highlight a little about
Okay,
that?
very, very good question. Actually, this is part of research methods. Methods means you have rightly pointed out a broad umbrella or broad canopy. But whenever you are trying to start your research work, you should have some particular tools or techniques. Particular tools or techniques. And that is referred to as research methodologies. So there is a difference between methods and methodologies. Method means a broad canopy or broad umbrella. I have already pointed out. But methodologies is the term that indicates various tools or techniques. Suppose, as for example, one particular numerical formulation. Okay, Newton Raphson method. Newton Raphson method is a particular methodology methodology that can be used to segregate some set of data, to analyze some set of data, and that is referred to as methodology term. So methods and methodology are different. As for example, can you provide the next slide? As for example, uh, please. Okay, okay. Look at this. Look at this picture. Look at this picture. How can you decide whether to use qualitative or quantitative method? I think all the students as well as researchers are familiar with this picture. This is called bungee jump, a popular game. Okay, popular game in the hilly area or some back end land. You are quite familiar with this game known as bungee jump. So one bungee or cord, special type of cord is used over here. This is just like symbolical representation of research methods and methodology. So one can jump by means of this bungee. Bungee means this cord. This cord has a typical property. It oscillates with respect to time. Okay. And finally, it will come to rest. And the people are enjoying in this bungee jump game. Okay, but they should have proper training. If the people do not have proper training, it is very difficult to take part this kind of dangerous game. Okay, so if you will have the training, proper training, you should enjoy this game. This is supposed to be the best game you may enjoy in your near future if you will have proper training. So this proper training is referred to as research. In case of research, it is said to be research methods and research methodology. Methods are the broad umbrella I have already mentioned, 8 to 10 various parameters: applied research or fundamental research, qualitative research, quantitative research, and so on. And methodology, particular tools or techniques that can be useful, highly useful, to achieve that, to solve that particular problem or to achieve the goal. That is called research methodology. Okay. So so whenever you are trying to do your research, you should have the knowledge about research methods and methodology. So that's the discussion about this methods versus methodology. So method, I have already mentioned, method is a broad umbrella and methodology is a particular tools or techniques, okay, to resolve this problem, particular problem. Apart from that, I am providing you another example, real life example. Suppose you are performing one experiment in the laboratory, particular to reach the goal, applied physics or analytical research or applied research in the research method. In the laboratory, research laboratory, suppose in the physics laboratory, you are performing one experiment, temperature, measurement of temperature of a particle or of a system with the rise of temperature in the environment, change the environment. Okay, in the nitrogen system, in the oxygen system, in the hydrogen system, what's the temperature of that particular system? So you may put a thermometer over here, okay, and you may measure the temperature of the system, of the environment, hydrogen environment, oxygen environment, nitrogen environment, or gaseous medium, a mixed phase environment. So means you may collect the data. So various environment should have various temperature. So that is your particular tools or techniques in the research laboratory. And then you may draw a graph system with respect to temperature. Oxygen, the temperature, corresponding temperature, nitrogen, corresponding temperature, hydrogen, corresponding temperature, mixed system, corresponding temperature. And after plotting the graph, you may conclude something. The whose temperature gives the highest value, whose temperature gives the lowest value. Highest value means there should be fast movement of molecules or atoms in the system. As for example, in the hydrogen system, that may provide the highest temperature. Means the atoms or molecules are restless. They are moving faster and they are making collision by thereby increasing the temperature. Similarly, nitrogen, it may provide the lowest temperature, means its atoms or molecules are not much restless. They are quite static. Then that's why they are not making collision and they are not providing the highest temperature or moderate temperature. Their temperature may be supposed to be the lowest temperature. So with this small experiment in your laboratory, you may conclude something. Okay, so that's the meaning of methodology and that's the difference of methods and methodology. I think it is clear to everyone.
Beautiful. So very nicely quoted. So it's very clear, concise, and the example that you quoted here, I think the children are really going to understand very deeply how we actually differentiate between the methods and the methodology in terms of taking up a research. So that's really important. And even you mentioned about the qualitative and the quantitative aspect, which possibly many of them are not aware that there are two different aspects to the research project. Initially, just people always think about that research is always a broader term and just one way and pattern that is supposed to be followed. So it's very important for everybody to know. And this is really nicely quoted here, and the example was really beautifully quoted, sir. I think it's very good to correlate with bungee jumping and the scientific experiment that you have mentioned here. Very nice, sir. So before we move ahead, we have few of the comments been coming up from the audience.
Okay.
So we have, as I think the audience has been able to correlate with what you were saying. So there's mentioning about that new recipes were being also a form of research we were not being aware of. So it's a very different perspective to add on to a viewpoint.
Okay.
Also, we have another view from Mr. Akul saying that me buying from Amazon based on the number of reviews is surely a quantitative research. And now I think we can very well correlate with the qualitative and the quantitative aspect of the
Sure, sure,
researches.
sure.
So I think the message is loud and clear, sir, and the audience is able to understand and absorb what you're trying to portray here. It's really nice going, sir.
Really
we
nice,
have
really.
one we have one question coming from Mr. Garvit Bhattacharya. He's been mentioning, sir, every research paper begins with a problem. But
Right.
what does it really mean to identify a research worthy problem? How to avoid confusion, a research problem with a general topic or a personal opinion?
Okay, very good question. Uh, Bhattacharya ma'am. I am also Dr. Sanjib Bhattacharya. You are also Bhattacharya. Okay. Oh, coincidentally, very good question. Actually, everything should be confined in the literature survey, as per my understanding. Whenever you are trying to solve a problem, first survey. Try to survey from the internet or from library. What kind of research work related to that particular problem have already been done by other researchers? You should go through the papers, go through the book or book chapters related to that particular problem. What is the research gap? Few researchers may do something on that particular area up to certain limit. After that, they may not highlight the issue. You should grab that particular problem, identify the research gap, and start from there. And literature survey is important part. And next one is the book or book chapter publication. You may try to understand from various publication part, and you should discuss with, most important part, you should discuss with other researchers to solve this problem. You may have some limitations. It happens. You may have some limitations. You should discuss some other researchers. You should discuss with your students also. Sometimes students may have very inquisitive ideas. Okay, you should discuss your students. You should discuss your family members if they are really interested in research, or some other researchers. Okay, regarding this problem. That's the only way, because there is no thumb rule to solve the problem. Research is the unpredictable dynamics. Mind it, very much unpredictable dynamics. This is not written in any textbook. This is not your undergraduate or masters or MTech syllabus. Okay, this is said to be unpredictable dynamics. Problem is there, but how to solve this problem depends on you. Your performance, your inquisitiveness, your understanding for this particular problem, to solve this particular problem, and discussion. In this regard, I want to mention one very important thing. I think all of you are familiar. Professor Dibba ma'am also may be familiar, or Gravit Bhattacharya ma'am, you may be familiar with uh, Feynman, Professor Feynman, very famous researchers, Professor Feynman, and a very famous book is available in the library as well as in the open access. Feynman's lecture series. Feynman lecture series. Actually, he is the father of nanomaterials. Okay, nanoscience and nanotechnology. Feynman is supposed to be father of nanoscience and nanotechnology. And Feynman believed that research can be advanced only by means of discussion, and discussion. That's why he loved to deliver lecture in the classroom, and he used to grab the information received from the students from the discussion, from the classroom lecture, and that discussion he portrayed in a book, and he developed the nanoscience and nanotechnology. That's why this book series is known as Feynman's lecture series. He loved to prefer discussion, do the discussion with the students, and try to understand their the information received from the students, and try to portray this information in a book or book chapter, okay, to solve this problem. So that's why this is known as Feynman's lecture series, not a book, lecture series. So these are various possible way out to solve a particular problem.
Very nicely said, sir. And I think, Garvit, now you had a clarity of thoughts to the solution that you were asking for a problem. And sir has very nicely been searched about the identification of the research gap that we usually discuss of. So very nicely portrayed here. So Garvit, I hope your question is being served well. We move on to another question coming from another student. Anjika has been raising a question, sir. I have published my first research paper in the field of positive psychology.
Okay, very
And
good.
as for the
Congratulations.
Anjika, many congratulations. As for the second one, I wanted to write a research paper in the field of criminal psychology, but quantitative research isn't feasible. Can you suggest how can I carry out the research?
So in this regard, it is the only possible way out. I am not the expert of psychology. Uh, Other psychologist, okay, other psychologist. So discussion, rediscussion. That should be a two-way traffic. Discussion and more discussion may solve this problem. Okay, that is sample survey is another part of this psychological problem. So you may try to solve this problem in this way.
Okay, sir. So Anshika has conveyed her regards for the compliments that we have shared. Best wishes to you, Anshika. Moving ahead, we have okay. So Anjika has another question, sir. So can we carry out using primary as well as secondary data, right?
Sure, sure. Carry out using primary and secondary data. Right, right. Primary data means unsynthesized data. Okay, raw data. Better to say raw data. And the secondary data means after analyzing the data, you may reach the goal of that particular problem. That is called the secondary data or final data. Okay, you are absolutely right.
Very nicely portrayed here. Thank you, Anshika, for raising the question. I think the audience is going to be really being benefited with that question. Many of the children usually have this kind of a doubt, so it's very important to clear this first
Right,
thing
right.
before proceeding further. So as we discussed about the types of methodologies and methods in terms of research, we look forward to further the qualitative and the quantitative aspect also we have discussed here. So what are the next key steps that we need to be following for a research project? So can you please highlight a little bit about that?
Okay, sure, sure. Very good question. So research methodology I have already mentioned. So each part of research methodology, various tools or techniques, various type of tools or techniques, each part plays a role in designing good research. So area of study. First, it is mentioned over here, area of study. So you try to understand, you try to explore the area of study. All the students or all the researchers may not be interested in diverse field. It is not possible. So that should not be called research. Research means a focus study. Focus study. Suppose one student is interested in gravity. One student is interested in nanotechnology. One student is interested in material science. One student is interested in AI ML. Okay. So there may be various areas of research work. So first of all, based on your understanding or your inquisitiveness, you try to choose your area of study from your childhood or school level. Next one, research design. Suppose, as for example, I am a person from material science. So research design. So whenever a solid materials have been made in my research laboratory, that can be characterized after preparation of the material should be characterized. So you should have a research design. There are various types of characterization techniques or tools, as for example, X-ray diffraction pattern. For my material research, this is one of the most important tool. So X-ray diffraction, if we do the X-ray diffraction of my samples as prepared samples in the laboratory, various information will be explored. Various information. So I know that this material property can be first explored with the help of this X-ray diffraction pattern. Similarly, electron microscopic technique or field dimension scanning electron microscopic spectroscopy technique. So this is the research design, particular research design. Okay. So as per your understanding, you should design your own research work. Okay. Otherwise, you may discuss with your teacher or your mentor or researcher. You may discuss with the established researchers or some other researcher throughout the globe via LinkedIn or via WhatsApp or via any kind of social media. Population of study. So, who are studying? Population study means this is part of social work, social science. Population density. Okay, population density is another kind of tool using during the COVID-19 era. Many people are doing on this work on this issue. That is various kind of population may maybe the identify maybe identified as the basic reason for the COVID-19. So population they have used this population study. Okay. Similarly, sample and sampling techniques, this is another research tools or techniques. Sample survey, instrumentation. I have already mentioned about instrumentation, X-ray diffraction tool, scanning electron microscopic tool, or some kind of other kind of cyclic voltmeter, another kind of characterization tool, battery characterization. Suppose we are preparing one material that can be used as battery, so cyclic voltammetry should be done over here. So this is particular instrumentation, and apart from that, you should have some computational methodology, some different apps on different formulation. Okay, software, various software. As for example, microcal origin. Microcal origin is a very powerful software for analyzing the experimental data. So next one is the administration of instrument. This is also important. How to handle the instrument, methods of data analysis. Various data are available. You may not be experimental researcher. You may be theoretical researcher. You may collect data from others' work, and you may be involved in the data analysis part. So how to solve this data analysis? How to solve this problem using data analysis? So various methods and methodologies are here, and reporting or results in a paper or in an article for publishing it under a publishing house. So these are various research methodologies. So all methodologies are equally important. Okay, and various types of researchers are also here. Some they are the mixed. They are using mixed mode. That is some sort of theoretical research, some sort of experimental research, and combination of these two. This is standard technique nowadays for publishing a paper in a good journal. Okay, that's it. That's all about the discussion of research methodology, various types of research methodology.
Sir, I think by now people were not being even clear of the fact that methods and methodologies are specifically two different terms here. So, adding up to that, really simplified the process that research is specifically having two parts to it. The method is being a separate criteria and the parameter that we've been following, and methodology has been way different. So, I think
Right.
now the message has reached to the audience, and it's a clear of a thought. So now I think we can start with the basics of it. That now we have understood the theory part. That what exactly is research? Who's a researcher? What's the difference between a qualitative and a quantitative aspect? And difference between methods and methodology. Furthermore, now what is the basic step I need to be following to starting up a research project? So as an individual, I'm just starting up new in this field. So what are the steps that I need to be following to just start with my key project for research?
Okay. Okay. So, research project means first of all, you have to identify the research area. Okay, research area. Identify the research area, and you may start your research work. So, research area identification, that is also important. And suppose you have identified your research area, and now taking the feedback from other researchers. maybe students, your friends, your seniors, whatever. Frame a set of questionnaires. The first step, ask a question. What do you want to find out? Ask a question. Set up questionnaire. Try to collect the answer of various similar questions from various stakeholders or various persons. Explore research. Based on the questionnaires, you may conclude that that should be the possible answer. Explore your research. Define a problem. You should define a problem. From the set of questionnaires, you should define a problem. The plan of your methods. Okay, how to execute to solve this particular problem. Suppose this is experimental research, part of experimental research. So try to collect the data from research laboratory. So in this regard, you may consult with your teacher or other researchers. Okay. Suppose you are exactly you are Diva ma'am is staying in Delhi. There are various research laboratory nearby. Okay, at JNU, at Delhi University, Delhi Technological University, Jamia Millia University, other universities and colleges, various parts of academic institutions are there. Various engineering colleges, other private or central universities are available, are there in the Delhi or NCR area. So you may consult with researchers of any institution and move there over there along with your students. Okay, to use his or her laboratory to collect the data. Okay, so in this way, in this collaborative model, you may start your research work, particularly for the students. To analyze the data, how to analyze data, that is important. Various tools or techniques, various formulation, various methodologies are there. So you have to collect the correct formulation. And that is possible only when you should survey the literature. Read out various literatures, to collect the correct one to analyze the data. After getting the analyzed data, that is your secondary data, not primary, secondary data, you should interpret the data, interpret your results. So that should be the possible reason for this particular problem and share conclusion. And that may be the conclusion. And finally, you are in the stage for publication. I think you may understand the meaning of research process point by point.
So that's a beautiful depiction. I think it's a very clear sequence of events that students need to know, and then step by step as they follow, they can get a very deep, full insight in terms of how they can actually prepare the research paper. So many of the times, the children do not know what is the next step, and most of them have a question. They are curious to be performing it to find a solution to it, but ultimately they don't know what are the sequence of events that they need to follow. So I think this depiction is very insightful and very simply you have actually portrayed the overall procedure and the process in very simplified way. So as we talk about the research process, and we can talk about the various ways in which the student can just start with a question and then reach to a conclusion where that he has able to find out the interpretation from his findings. So how can we make certain of the research topics being very relevant and doable in today's time? So how can correlation between the research topic in today's time is being, because my topic has to be very relevant. Otherwise, how do I choose a topic for that matter if for the research purpose?
Actually, it depends. So answer is same. It depends on the literature survey. Okay, you may have some sort of inquisitiveness. You may search the related area through internet or in the library. Okay, nearby library, or maybe in the online library if you have the facility or access. So identify the problem means, as for example, literature survey will give you the right picture. So as for example, I am telling you from the point of view of material research, many researchers, the big researcher, medium standard researcher or small researchers, many researchers throughout the globe uh, regarding the material science research, they are working on the hydrogen generation. Now, this is the hot topic, hydrogen generation from water. Low cost, high efficiency device they may provide, they may develop in the laboratory to resolve this problem. Now, this is supposed to be the big problem for the material researchers. Generation of hydrogen from water. Okay, with low cost methodology. Low cost methodology. So, many very researchers throughout the globe are focusing on this area. Okay, this is one of the hot topic as for example in material science.
So for the research topic, what is the relevance that I need to check on? That the topic is relevant and doable. How do we check on to the efficiency of the respective topic?
Actually, you may do the literature survey, and you may find the uh, various parts of research methods and methodology, and various it is mentioned in the screen. uh, Good research, part of good research, it depends on the following points. Okay, first one, systematic, step by step, like a proper planning. You should have a proper planning. Systematic searching, you may have a search engine, you may do it in a systematic way. First one, system. What do you mean by systematic way? First one, identify the research area. How many researchers are interested in this research area? You may identify them from the literature survey. Next one, the outcome. People are working, that's fine. They have published paper. But what are the outcome of this research area? What are the outcome? What are the patents published or filed regarding that particular problem? Okay. And device application. What kind of information regarding this particular problem has been incorporated for a particular device application? So this is your systematic way out, step by step or systematic survey of literature as well as recent research. Next one is the logical. You should have logical thinking. Some researcher may conclude something. Okay, so you may think that as per my understanding, it may not be possible. Why it is not possible? You may have different logical understanding. You may consult with your friends or with your teacher or other researcher. Your logic is correct or their logic is correct. It may happen that their logic is correct, your logic may also be correct, but your understanding level is different. Okay, you may apply your logic to some extent. As for example, suppose we are working on solid materials. So inside the solid, electrons, protons, okay, various nanoparticles are there. So depending upon the property of the nanoparticle, the solid, the property of the solid material depends on the property of the nanoparticles inside the solid. Okay, but the proper as a whole, the property of the solid is the sum or aggregate of all the constituent particles. It may not be same. So you are applying the theory of nanoparticles, and other researchers are applied the theory of solid materials or bulk materials. Their perspective is totally different, but they are correct in their own ways. So logical understanding is very important. Empirical, I have already mentioned earlier. Empirical means trial and error. Suppose you are from the observation, you find that that should be the nature of the movement of that particular particle in your experiment. Experimental result gives you the movement, the dimensional movement of particular particle or charged particle. So you may provide empirical law. I have already mentioned, suppose x equals to a y to the power n. Okay, x and y are variables and n is the power. So with this empirical formulation, you may solve this particular problem. What's the value of n? N is a dimension. Maybe one dimension, maybe two dimension, maybe three dimension, or maybe multidimensional movement of the particle. Okay, so empirical law is also important. Reciprocable means Suppose you have you have done one experiment one day, after 4 day or 1 week, you may do the same experiment, but that should give the same result. Okay, so result, it should be the replica of the older one. If results are different, this indicates that something wrong in your experiment. It should be reproducible. It should be valid and verifiable many times. Suppose you have done the experiment one time, another researcher had done the experiment two times, another researcher has done the experiment 100 times. So I should collect the data of that particular researcher who has done the experiment 100 times. So more and more number of same experiment will give the more correct result in terms of statistical point of view. Okay, so you may take the average result. And critical thinking should be associated, I have already mentioned. It may not be simple as observed from the experiment. You may analyze and interpret the data with the help of your critical thinking. I think that's all about the part of good research.
Very nicely quoted here, sir. So we need to identify the research gap and a sequence of events you need to be following to maintain a good research. Some things that need to be kept in mind, and of course, yes, we need to be validating it with the help of the previous researchers. So that's really important to note. So the audience been watching to kindly please ensure that any kind of a research paper that you have been having follows these particular steps to make it a good research paper, and yes, of
Right,
course, been accepted to be published in the journals. So there are certain procedures that need to be followed. So very nicely quoted here, sir. And furthermore, focusing on the discussion part among the students also, it's very important that it needs to be discussed with the students. That is where the discussion part becomes it more evident that the research has been coming out in the right way. So we
right,
have
right,
to be ensuring that we are been working in the right direction. So yes, of course, we need to discuss on that. It should be logical and of course being practically approachable as well. That would make it a good research paper. So
right,
you have mentioned beautifully the key qualities that a good research study actually requires. Now, furthermore, sir, now I have prepared my paper, keeping in mind what are the key factors that need to be minded. It has to be systematic, it has to be logical, it has to be empirical, it should not be a replica, or it has to be valid. And critically, I have analyzed the paper. Now, the next step is like, how would I move towards the publishing part? So
right.
please do guide us that how my paper has been ready with my viewpoint. Now, how do I move to the next step of publishing? What are the steps and the ways through which I can reach to the publishing part, sir?
Okay. So whenever we are concerned with publishing your research work, publishing student research, whatever, some factors are there. Ethical part is also there. You should be ethically correct. Acha, from lab to laboratory, I will discuss it later. Research delivery system, the author, reviewer, journal, publication. This is a teamwork. Author, reviewer, journal, and publication. You are the author. You have written the paper, entire paper. Later, I will give you the structure of the paper. For the timing, just remember you have written the paper. You are the author or corresponding author, main author or corresponding author. You have submitted your paper in a publishing house for possible publication. Just after submission, the editorial team will review your paper. Is it fit for this particular journal? If it is not fit, they can reject it. Otherwise, if it is fit for a particular journal, then it will send for review to the set of reviewers, two or three reviewers. Reviewers will assess your work. If there are some drawbacks, they will provide some comments to the editor. An editor will provide you the comments of the reviewer, you means the author, and you should improve your manuscript accordingly based on the comments received from the set of reviewers. Again, you will submit the revised version of your paper to the same journal and if it deems fit, it will be published in that particular journal. Okay, but there are various types of journal. I will discuss it later. So that's the way of publishing a paper in a journal.
So as you mentioned about what are the steps that need to be kept in mind for a good research paper, and furthermore, how do we deliver that into publication? So there are
Right.
certain procedures that need to be followed before it basically gets finally published. So furthermore, we would like to know more about like how do I reach to till the publication process? Like what are the ways or the channels or specific sites that I need to monitor myself or practice publishing on these various platforms where I can reach up to the publication process. So, can you just highlight a little bit about which are the platforms that I can actually publish my article or my research paper on?
Actually, there are various platforms based on the basic requirement of publishing a paper in a journal. There are basically two types of journals. Okay, two types of journal. Whenever you are interested your paper in a journal, there are basically two types of journal. Some journals are open access journal. Open access journal means you may submit your paper according to the journal format, and after submission of your paper it will be peer reviewed, means it will send to set of reviewers, that is called peer review process. And after peer review, if it deems fit, it will be published. But the condition is you have to pay some money. Okay, this is called gold open access journal. This money is utilized for processing fees or publication charges. Apart from that, there may be another kind of set of journals or journals. Those are called re- subscribed journals. Suppose your institution, university or research institute or some library, they can purchase the entire volume or they can subscribe the entire volume. Okay, and you, the author, may not be able to give the get the full access of your paper. Just up to abstract part, you can see the abstract part, up to abstract part. So there are basically two types of journals. And in the subscribed version journal, you should not pay a single rupee because this is free. Okay, free from you, but it is not free from the library. Library should purchase the journal. Okay, and that's why this is called subscribed version. So various publishing houses are there: Springer, Nature, Elsevier, Wiley. These are, and out of this, will Elsevier, Springer, Nature, or Wiley, they may have some subscribed version, they may have some bold open access version. Another kind of open access platform, it is mentioned over here. You may choose your, if for the beginners, it is better to choose for the open access platform. Okay, and for the mid-career researchers, they should choose the subscribed version journal. Okay, as per my understanding, your understanding may be different from mine. Thank you.
So this picture here has beautifully portrayed that how a free access platform and the one with a paid access, or we the other term that we use is a subscribed access platform that we have. So when we talk about paid access or specifically subscribed access or open access, how much is this resource being reliable? Do you think that open access is being as reliable as the paid access is?
If open access journal is peer reviewed journal, then you may rely it. If it is peer reviewed journal, okay. Some journals are there also. They do not do the review process, okay, properly. So that should be different. But most of the renowned journals uh, having group of reviewers, set of reviewers, and they are the peer reviewed journals. So you may rely on these peer reviewed journals. They may be open access, they may be subscribed.
So I
No
think for
issue.
students, preferable to go for an open access platform, learn from it, acknowledge the number of research papers being published, and see how and learn from them specifically how you can frame out your own research paper. So here very nicely, sir has mentioned few of the sites, the audience that you can refer to and access the research papers to understand. You have developed a better understanding of how a research paper is, what are the ways in which you can access it, develop it, and furthermore formulate it into your own research papers. That's really important to learn and grow. So as we proceed with the steps further, so now I am very clear of the fact that what are the qualities required or the key components required for my research paper. The next possible thing you very clearly and very nicely presented up that what are the steps to publishize my research paper. And now we are talking about what are the sources on which we can publicize. Now during this process there are a lot of times that we do things which are not been acceptable and our papers get rejected. So what are the most common misconducts that students need to keep in mind, and they should not be attempting that so that the research papers do not get rejected in the first peer review itself. So could you please give some light on that, sir?
Very relevant question. All the students and researchers should know about this. That is common type of research misconduct. Various researchers are doing various types of research, but they may represent sometimes the fake data. This is one kind of misconduct. Ethical approval. Okay, that is some researchers may publish their work, same work in various publishing house. Fake authorship. It is also another kind of scientific misconduct, and hidden conflicts of interest. That is also part of scientific misconduct. So, regarding scientific misconduct, the mostly discussed part is the plagiarism nowadays. Plagiarism means stealing the ideas, paragraphs, paraphrases, figures, images from others' work. That is referred to as plagiarism. Whenever you published your own work in a publishing house, you have shared with them the copyright agreement form. This means you may not use your published work in your next research work, which can be published in different publishing house. So that's why plagiarism is the most important. It should be original. It should be original. Your work should be original. Write down your own work in your own way. Language should be new. Your concept should be new. Figure and images should be new. Title should be new. Your concept of present research should be new. Otherwise, it should be treated as the plagiarized part. Okay. The fake authorship, this is also an important part. Suppose you have submitted your work in a publishing house. You should mention, nowadays this is a standard practice to mention the credit author statement. Means, suppose there are four authors. First author is responsible for, as for example, the draft of the present work or data collection. The second author is responsible for numerical analysis. The third author is responsible for final data analysis. The fourth author responsible for the entire monitoring as well as the final draft of the manuscript. Okay, so responsibility of each and every author should be mentioned at the end of the manuscript. So if you want to add the another author after acceptance of your paper, that should be treated as the violation of fake or violation of the work, or it should be treated as the research misconduct. Then you have to justify your work by means of submission of one form. Okay, that this new researcher or new author has added some new idea to improve the manuscript. You have to justify it. Otherwise, it should be treated as fake author concept of fake authorship. Okay, and data should be new, should be original data. Your concept should be new. I have already mentioned. there should not be any conflict of interest. Suppose you are performing research on animal, various animals or plants, okay, means there should be some conflict of interest. You have to declare that particular conflict of interest, okay. If there is no conflict of interest, in spite of that, you have to declare a form, okay, that you don't have any conflict of interest. Otherwise, it may be treated as the research misconduct.
So I think it is very clear, concise, and what has been watching will be able to comprehend very beautifully from the key pointers that have been mentioned on the screen here. Some key pointers that need to be kept in mind while you have been drafting your own research paper. Common misconducts that usually takes place, and we tend to ignore it just because we are unaware about it. So today's session marks to be a very important eye opener for the students, audience, research enthusiasts who have been watching over, to know that what are the things to avoid so that your research paper gets accepted in the first go, and no further modulations or formations are being required for the kind of effort that goes into forming up a research paper. So as we are discussing about the misconduct, very beautifully you have portrayed a number of ways in which the misconduct is been leading to the decline of the papers being submitted for journals. We have one of the questions from the audience here, so I would just like to take that. So here it has been said that thank you for the session, sir. Nowadays, people are using Chat GPT and similar tools for text generation. So does it count under misconduct, or is it as a part of a plagiarism?
Actually, as per my understanding, it may be treated as the scientific research misconduct because you are the author. You do not help to generate your manuscript using AI. You may improve your paper. You may improve your paper up to some extent using AI, but do not write down paper, basic paper. Uh, do not take the idea of preparation of this manuscript or doing your present research work from AI. That can be treated as scientific misconduct. You can improve your paper, the quality of the paper using AI. Okay. So as for example, some statements may be added. Okay. As per your understanding, it may not be enough. You have written much more thing, but some portion may be added. You may help from AI to improve your paper, but the basic concept, idea of preparation of the basic structure of the paper may not be uh, collected from AI generated data. That may be treated as the scientific misconduct.
Really nicely quoted, sir. Here, so with this, we come to the next topic. As very nicely here, ChatGPT has been mentioned. Can you suggest us some digital platforms as technology is taking over in today's time in the research perspective also? So, can you suggest us some digital platforms that can help us simplify the research process?
Various digital platforms are here. First of all, after completion of your manuscript, it may be checked your grammar. First, you may check your the grammatical problems. Okay, grammatical errors using Grammarly. You may frame your paraphrase in some different way using Grammarly. You may frame your paraphrase. Similarly, you may check the plagiarism using Turnitin. Turnitin is a very powerful tool, though it is costly, not free. Authenticate is the most powerful tool. Similarly, citation manager, Mendeley citation manager, EndNote, it is also important. And Grammarly, I have already mentioned to identify your grammatical error, to improve your paraphrase, to improve your paragraph, you may use Grammarly. To check the original, is it plagiarized or not? Up to 10% plagiarized text may be acceptable nowadays from various publishing house, but if it beyond 10%, then it should not be permissible. So that's why plagiarism check is important part. And citation means references. It is, as per my understanding, recent references, not older than last 5 years publication should be cited in your paper. Few citation maybe supposed to be the Bible. Two or three older citation may be there, but recent, most of the citations should be recent citation. They encourage your recent citation means you are connected with latest literature survey, latest work by the recent researchers throughout the globe.
So I think this is a very important toolbox for the children, and it's a must takeaway. Children can actually refer to these sites for modifying their research papers and using the digital tools, as it is very convenient for audience today that they really want to look forward to certain digital tools that help simplify the research paper content. So rather
Right.
than taking up a plagiarized content, just check that whatever content that you're picking up, formulating the research paper is actually being credible, is being worthy to be actually be putting up for the journals, and it gets accepted in the first go. For that, all these tools are being very applicably shared by sir, and very nicely been portrayed here. So audience, please do keep in mind certain digital platforms, and it is going to make your work way simplified and way easier for you to actually reach up to your final goal that we've been having. I am really appreciative of the fact that research was something that was out of my question also. It has been a difficult context for me to understand as well. But today, beautifully, you have actually weaved it by the thread how a good research paper and what are the certain tools that has been required. I really will be keeping in mind what are the misconducts I should be avoiding while been framing up my own research. And we should be really clearly knowing about the fact that it begins from something that is of our school level itself. It's not something of a very big thing that we need to be actually reaching up to a level of being a professor, a scientist, and then we should be actually carrying out to this research process. So how beautifully, sir, you have weaved out the overall process. I think it will make it really even out for students watching this today, that how it is so easy and convenient to be framing out their own research paper, which looks like a very humongous task. So further proceeding, as you discussed about certain research tools as well, could you share some examples of your own? And being a scholar with approximately 83 papers being published, it's really an
Okay.
honor for your presence today. So could you, sir, give your insights and share some examples of your own, that what is a particular layout of a research paper? Because now we come to
I
the
have
final part,
published,
that
right,
how
right.
frame has been found.
Okay. Rightly pointed out, I have published many research papers. 83 is published, and many work has already been submitted right now. So here various publishing houses are there. Okay, various publishing houses. So Authenticate, the before picture, Authenticate is the powerful tool I have already mentioned earlier, Turnitin as well as Authenticate. And the concerning the research paper, preparation of research paper, the next slide, please. Okay, fine. So this is the anatomy of a research paper or various parts and structure of a research paper. The first one is the title. It is clearly mentioned over here, title. Next one is the author with affiliation, author's name with affiliation. Next one, abstract. The next, introduction, material and methods, results and discussion. Conclusion, it is not mentioned over here anyhow by mistake. Conclusion, and then acknowledgement, reference and acknowledgement. So this is the as a whole the various parts of a research paper, good research paper. So abstract and conclusion, you may write down your abstract and conclusion in the last. Okay. Introductions. First, you should stress on the introduction part. Introduction part means based on your title, you have to introduce three or four paragraphs. Okay. So introduction part should contain, as per my understanding, maybe three paragraphs, okay, in broad sense. The first paragraph of the introduction should contain the background of the present work in terms of literature survey. Some citations are there, background of the present work, okay. And the second paragraph of the introduction should contain the recent work related to the present work, as well as the research gap that should be portrayed in the second paragraph of the introduction. Why we need to do this present work? Why? There should be some research gap. Some researchers may do this work up to that extent, but after that there is no explanation or no data. Means that this is the research gap. You grab the research gap and start your work from that particular point. So identification of research gap should contain in the second paragraph of your introduction, along with some references, recent references. The third paragraph of the introduction should contain the objective of the present work. Objective of the present work, point by point. The present work, in the present communication, our aim is to highlight on the following points: one, 2, 3, 4, 5, 5 to 6 points. Okay, that should be the third paragraph of your introduction. So next comes to the materials and methods. That is for the experimental researcher, sample preparation, materials preparation, okay, methods, methodology, you have to describe in details in the materials and methods part. Third one, the results. Results means your observation. Suppose doing some experimental research, you have collected data and plot a graph. From your observation, this is the nature of the graph. So that indicates the results. And discussion means interpretation of experimental results. That is interpretation of your observation by means of various research tools or research methodologies. These are referred to as discussion part. Next one is the conclusion. And the first one is the abstract. So what's the basic difference between abstract and conclusion? Abstract means the summary. Summary of the entire work, having some numerical data. The summary as a whole, the brief part of your entire work, that is referred to as abstract. And conclusion means important findings, important results of your entire work, that is referred to as your conclusion. The last one is the reference part. I have already mentioned recent references should be incorporated more and more. Few references, older references, highly cited older references may also be incorporated. Next one is the acknowledgement. You have to acknowledge your helper who has extended their helping hand to execute your entire work. You should mention their names in the acknowledgement. Okay, so that's the anatomy of a research paper as per my understanding. That's it.
I think this is really, really informative, sir. I'm really looking forward to this. Nobody has shared this kind of a structured image for a research paper, and I think this is going to be a really good takeaway for the audience today, because the whole structure and an anatomy of how a research paper needs to be formulated. It's very important for us to know to begin with the research process, and very less documentation basically talks about the overall layout. So I think this is really beautifully been portrayed by you, and very informative for the audience, I must say. Very nicely done, sir. Thank you so much for sharing this. It's very, very important for us to be going through this anatomy before presenting our own research papers.
Right.
So, the audience, please refer to this for framing of your own research papers. Follow the sequence and develop your own pattern in which you have been formulating your own research paper. So, sir has beautifully shared this thing. Please ensure that it has been incorporated in your research as well. So as we continue further, could you please share some of your own examples? We're really looking forward to see your citations and your research that have been published. Audience really looking forward to your papers. How set as an example for others to watch over this.
Okay, few of my research papers are portrayed here in a single slide. First paper, it is mentioned the name of the journal. You may search it, Journal of Alloys and Compounds, and the quality of the journal has been identified by impact factor. Okay, right now its impact factor is 6.3, probably 6.3. It is published under Elsevier Publishing House. The second one also micro and nanostructure, very good journal under Elsevier. And the third one, it is mentioned Applied Physics A. It is under Springer Nature Publishing House. This is also a good publishing house. So you students, you researchers present over here, you may publish your paper in a very good journal, even if better than me. I hope. I hope so.
So this is pure academic excellence, I must say, and it's an honor to watch so many of your citations. Even I would like to share some of sir's citations and like his papers being published. There are a number of them. If you can
Okay.
watch over this,
It's
sir,
24
could
is
you
the
please?
H index, 24.
Okay, so could you please
Okay.
a little bit highlight on this one, sir? So it's beautiful to see number of papers being published.
Okay. Year wise. Right now, three papers are already published in 2025. More and more are in the pipeline. And citation, based on the citation, you may publish one paper in a very good reputed journal. But if other researchers do not read your paper, okay, this means it may not penetrate towards the research community. Okay, that's why citation more and more, because your published work should be uh, in the reference section of others' work. Means they go through your research and they have cited your work in their own research paper. Okay, this means citation index is important part. More and more citation give you the highlighted researcher throughout the globe. Okay, and it is determined by this H index. It is Google Scholar citation. There is another kind of citation called Scopus index citation, whatever. So my citation index is 24. So many researchers are here in India. As for example, very good researcher, Professor Sabu Thomas, I should mention proudly. I know him very well. Sabu Thomas, ex Vice Chancellor of Mahatma Gandhi University, Kerala, his H index is more than 100. More than 100. Okay. The best, one of the best researchers and scientists as per H index of our country. I should salute some researchers. They are our, truly they are our inspiration. Okay, their each index is more than 100. I must mention another researchers, my guide, supervisor, Professor Roshini Ghosh of Indian Association for the Cultivation of Science. His H index is also close to 60. Similarly, Professor Dipankar Das Sharma of IISc Bangalore, his H index is to some extent close to 100. Okay, they are supposed to be the premium researchers of our country.
Beautiful, sir. So 1800 citations I can see, and since 2018, such a wide index that possibly it's a great inspiration for the audience been watching today, especially for the students from the colleges and the schools who are really looking forward to find up their research has been published. I would like to give a glimpse of the number of publications that we have, and we're really proud to show the number of publications that sir has published. I think it's a great motivation for the children today that we need to be inspired to be actually presenting a way, and it's more. So it's endless. We have more publications, so students can actually search regarding this and
Sure.
refer to the sites. So we'll be sharing up the link of his publications in the end, so you can refer to it, take guidance from it, and it can help you further in citing your own publication. It's really fantastic to see, sir, how beautifully a number of publications have come into life, and that's the best example that the children are actually going to be leading with. That they have been guided by you, for sure.
Sure, sure.
So as we have been very much nearing to the end, this one last question that possibly brings a lot of questions of curiosity in today's time regarding the research paper. It's the inclusion of AI. So, if we talk about inclusion of AI has been transforming the way research has been done today. So, how do
Right.
you think that it is bringing up a change, or it might bring a change in the future for with reference to the tools coming up, digital tools coming up, or the credibility, authenticity, and misconducts being taking place? So, how AI can specifically help us in this process?
Sure, sure. AI may help us to develop our paper. Manual search in case of manual search, long reading houses, hours, human analysis activity may be done using AI. Helps build structured outline. It may be possible, and this is traditional tools, and AI can help us to summarize paper instantly. Suppose we are interested to get the paper which is highlighting the issue on, as per example, density of states. Okay, density of states, just remember the term density of defect states. So you may type the key parameters, okay, and you may get the large number of papers, okay, related to that particular topic. Similarly, other kind of material research or other kind of social science related paper or geography research related paper, human climate change, okay, climate change, you may interest. You may have the interest to access the get the papers on which discussed on the climate change related issue in the Asian and European country particularly. Okay, you may have the papers. Okay, using these AI tools. So AI may help you up to an extent, but my suggestion: do not use AI to write down your own paper. AI may be used to improve your paper. Nowadays, physics-based research paper have we have number of physics-based research paper, but using AI, you may develop your paper, the quality and standard of the paper using AI-based tools, as for example, computational physics, AI-based tools. Okay, intermolecular distance or something like that. You may identify using AI generated tools, and you may correlate that AI generated tool, that is results, using AI generated tool with your laboratory based results. That's the challenge for the material researcher or nowadays researcher, that is your lab based data can be correlated with AI based data. Okay, that's the great part of using AI.
Sir, it's undeniable that we cannot escape on from the incorporation of AI, and it's becoming a part of us. We are accessing the digital tools, so AI is also being a part of us now, and we need to accept it. That yes, of course, that's a new transformation. That's a
Right,
new
right,
era of research being entering with AI.
right.
Okay. So, as we are nearing to the complete end of the session, you have given a lot of insights in, and you've shared your own samples, research papers, and anatomy of it, that how the children can formulate it. What would be your last piece of advice to the first-time student researchers that we have in this field? What would be your giveaway for them so that basically they can take up research in the coming future?
Uh, Actually, I have already demonstrated everything, every tidbit for the beginners or new researchers. Once again, I am giving a summarized version how to read a research paper. You should start your research paper, to prepare your research paper. My first advice is to do the literature survey. So, beginner route should start the literature survey and prepare your abstract. Prepare your conclusion at the last, figures and tables, okay, in your own research paper. But you should remember ethical point of view. Plagiarism check is important. Scientific misconduct, try to avoid scientific misconduct. Try to avoid other kind of falsification or fabrication of data set from others. Okay, so you should prepare your figures and tables, that should be original. Prepare your abstract, prepare your conclusion accordingly. And methodology, methods and methodology, I have already mentioned in a deeper way. That should be part of deep learning. Full read, methods, results and discussion. I have already mentioned results means observation. Discussion means critical thinking or interpretation. References, new references should be incorporated. Few old references may also be there. So reference part, you may use AI tools to collect relevant reference during last 5 years. So collect some well-cited reference. They may be old, but they are well-cited references. Results, you have written the observation in results, but some differences, some research gap may be there. So discussion part or interpretation part, you may incorporate it more interpretation or more uh, scientific tools that can be used to interpret your results. Okay, and you may discuss more and more using AI tools your own way, as well as using some AI tools up to some extent to improve the quality of your paper. So that's my advice for the beginners to improve as well as to write your own paper. And keep in mind few things: ethical violation, plagiarism, research methods and methodology, that is the grammar of writing a research paper, and how to write results, how to write discussion, how to write reference, and how to incorporate the materials and methods as well as methodology, how to frame your abstract part, conclusion part, how to incorporate figures. You should ready your figures. That figures should be original, and suitable title should be there. That should be that should indicate the flavor. The title should indicate the flavor of the entire work that you are interested to publish in a reputed journal or a book or book chapter. So that's the advice to the beginners to prepare how to prepare a manuscript. That's it.
Really insightful, sir. It has been really informative and an inspiring session for sure. And students will get a beautiful clarity of thought today after attending this session. As we are towards the end, I would like to keep it open for the questions. The audience can post the questions and we can further take up the questions for the session. The audience can further contact sir with the references
Sure,
that has
sure,
been given
sure.
on the screen. Sir, could you please mention a little bit about
Okay, dear participants, students, researchers, you may contact me over phone or via email. It is better to send your information, your problem via email. Two emails are there. You may visit my personal homepage, Google Scholar Citation, LinkedIn, ResearchGate, Orchid ID, Pablons, and Instagram page. You may send your problems via email, and I am always trying to extend my helping hand up to some extent to the new researchers or beginners. Okay, no issue, no issue. You may send an email and the problems via email. I will try to solve it as per my capacity. Okay, dear students and researchers, if you are if my present work present the presentation really penetrates up to some extent, and that may be enough, much more I'm much more satisfied if it does really penetrate up to some extent, and that may be helpful for your coming days for the for preparation of your manuscript to publish in a uh, good journals or book chapters. And you may have some problems. It is not possible to solve a problem overnight. A problem persists, always problem persists, but try to identify problem and try to solve the problem. Do not try to avoid the problem. That's my suggestion.
beautiful, sir. Beautiful indeed, and it's really an honor that we could actually hear from you. So beautiful insights regarding the overall journey of how a research paper begins and how it has been. We'll take few questions, sir. I think I know we have been short of time and we have taken up a
Sure,
long.
few questions you may mention.
Yeah, very few questions, sir. So here we have that. Is there any specific requirement for research, or anyone can do research in their field?
Anybody can do research in any field. There is no bindings, irrespective of any kind of restriction. The only thing, your inquisitiveness, your interest towards a particular field. That is the only thing.
Right, sir. Another question coming over. So we have a lot of appreciations. Thank you
Same
so much,
person.
sir. Right. And Garvit has mentioned, thank you, sir, for answering my query very well. Furthermore, one question more ahead we can take before we end with the session. So, love the session, sir. Can you share little about your recent ongoing research topics or something you would love to research in the near future?
Presently, I want to say something. Presently, I am conducting one major research project funded by ANRF, ACRB. Now, ACRB is transformed into ANRF, Anusandhan Research Foundation, Government of India. uh, they have funded me for pursuing my major research project on sodium battery materials. So right now I am doing my research on sodium battery materials. Particularly, I have prepared few electrolyte materials, very much technical term, in my research laboratory. I think all of you are familiar with lithium battery material, lithium battery, but lithium is abundant, and lithium battery materials is very much costly. So, and the because of its production, the way of production. Okay, it can be oxidized very quickly. Some problems are there. So to avoid these problems, now researchers are trying to prepare alternative materials which can be used as battery materials. Okay, so I am one of them. So sodium battery materials, I have developed some electrolyte materials that can be used for sodium battery, and one paper has already published in Journal of Alloys and Compounds in the 2025 year 2025. You might have seen in my publication list. So some researchers, three researchers are working under my supervision at University of North Bengal, and other are were also working uh, in terms of uh, in terms of part-time research part-time research. And my research lab is always open to the new researchers. If any researchers throughout the country or around the globe are really interested to impart your knowledge to improve my present research, you should participate. You should send me an email. I am always trying to incorporate them in my present research or try to collaborate them uh, in near future. Thank you all.
Very nice, sir. And this is really important. Audience, you can reach out to sir. It's a really nice opportunity where learned people like Dr. Sanjeev can basically help us identify our problems and bring out the solutions and guide us. Such mentors are really wisely being needed, and it really marks important in our journey of a research. So awesome to hear, sir. That would be a game changing in the near future with the rise of EVs and efficient energy resources as an alternative to lithium batteries. So
Thank
really
you.
nice to
And it should start from your school students. It should start
exactly.
from your school students. Okay.
I think that's really
That's
important to
the
take.
beginning part.
Yes. So I think research is not something very big. It's something that we can just start from the very beginning. So truly said, yesterday's research helped us to be here today, and today's research is going to help us to be reaching tomorrow.
Right.
So, very nicely portrayed. With this, we can come to the near end of the session, and it has been really insightful to hear from Sir. As we come to the near end, we are really grateful for Sir to spare some time. I would like to bid Sir with a great gratitude. As we draw this insightful session to a close, I extend my deepest gratitude to all
I
our
also
viewers.
want to say few words in the valedictory
Yes, sir.
part.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Please, sir.
Dibba Mehra is a very proactive conductor and moderator as well as you have nicely conducted this session very much
Really
uh,
grateful, sir.
lucid way. You have conducted this session. Your presence is another important part of this session. Okay,
Thank you so much.
and the participants present over here virtually, they may realize this that without having your presence that may be incomplete. I'm also thankful for your presence and your moderation throughout the session, and I hope that the students or researchers who attended this program should be benefited from today's program. And Dibba ma'am should start this practice from her school and try to disseminate knowledge among various stakeholders. I request all the participants who attended today's session, you should disseminate this kind of information among your peers so that more and more researchers of our country should, especially young mind, should take part in research, various kind of research from tomorrow. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. I think the way you have portrayed the overall session became so easy to understand. Research is one of the topics which is quite difficult for especially the students to understand. An abstract, how the citation takes place, the journal, the procedure, misconduct. I think you beautifully took up each of the topics, and I think you hit the right chord because children are not being clear that how the research paper is the sequencing how the events it is. So that part was very efficiently mentioned, and I'm really grateful that you could agree for this session and share your insights and the expertise which possibly could come from a learner like you only. So really honored, sir. Thank you so much for taking and
Okay,
sparing the
thank
time.
you and bye
Yeah,
bye. Have a nice day.
right. Thank you so much, sir. So, as we are been closing to the end, a heartfelt thank you to Dr. Sanjib Bhattacharya, sir. Your clarity, depth of knowledge, practical insights into the structure, style of submission, and for the research paper, and of course, has truly simplified the overall process. Many perceived it as a daunting process, but I think Sir has simplified it beautifully today to make it quite easy and make it quite convenient for every other one, even the students, to attempt this. So thank you so much. You have given the learners not only the tools but also the confidence to begin with this research journey and purposely to give a purpose to this meaningful precision activity that we have. So research for all of you has been open, so you can connect to Sir, and we're really grateful for Sir to take out time to join us today, share his insight. It really means a lot to us. It has hope, build it up the curiosity among you people, and a commitment so that the educators, the viewers, all of them can be actually starting up with their own research journey.
Okay, bye bye.
Thank you so much, sir. To all our educators, viewers, students, budding researchers, those who have joined us today, thank you for your time and thank you for joining us today, for giving us a valuable time into this topic. Um Thank you for your active participation, the questions, and your presence in making what this platform is truly important and thriving for. The education, reaching about all the globe, across the globe, that we have been actually having. As we continue to explore, evolve in the world of education and research, I hope this today's discussion empowers you to write more, reflect, and research with integrity and impact. Until the next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep connecting. Thank you and a namaskar to everyone.